Welcome to episode number 2 of the Village Wealth Masterclass, How to Buy a Business. In this episode, we're going to talk about where you find a company or a business to purchase. Our first episode, we talked about, do you buy a business or do you just start a business from scratch? And if you're watching video 2, you probably decided, I'm going to go out and buy a business. So now you need to know, where the heck am I going to find these things? Okay, so there's fundamentally two ways of doing this. And I'm going to talk about the secret hook, the number 3 way that is going to be a faster way and accelerate your time. But traditionally, there's 2 ways to purchase a business. One is you're going to go out and you're going to search. And search looks like, in this modern day and age, it used to look like getting a paper and like going through it and going through classifieds. But now it looks like going to business for sale sites. And there's about 30, 40 business for sale sites that are out there. We actively at Open Road use 7, and I'm going to talk to how that's changing in the near future. The second way is hunting. So there's your searching and there's your hunting. The hunting is more of a door knocking campaign. So it's you deciding what industry, what kind of business, what geographical area do I want to acquire something in? What size range do I want to buy? How many employees are in this business? And then you target your search down to a small amount of companies. And then you literally go knock on doors, whether that's writing emails or it's physically going to locations or it's picking up the phone, getting in contact with the founders and asking them, do you want to sell your company? This is kind of the unsolicited offer method. And so those are kind of the 2 ways of going about it. Now, the pros and cons, the first one, the pros is these are individuals out there when you're searching, you're kind of going through websites. These are business owners that have selected themselves to sell their companies. So they already have a vested interest in selling their business, and they've already probably hired a broker, they've hired someone or like an M&A advisor, an intermediary to help them with that process, and they're now online, right? So they've done a lot of the upfront work to maybe they have, maybe they haven't, but hopefully they've done some upfront work to prepare their business for sale. And it's on the block and it's ready. So I would say that's the biggest feature of using search, is that these people are already out there wanting to sell their companies. The downside is that there might not be businesses out there that you actually want. And you'll find this, if you're just starting this process of hunting for a really good quality company, 95% of the stuff that you're going to screen through online is junk. And I kind of like this is analogous to if you're running a company and you own a business and you're going out there to find a rock star killer employee that's just going to crush it for you. What's the probability that employee that you're going to find is out there hunting for a job? Like, I'm going to go on LinkedIn or I'm going to go on Monster or whatever, and I'm going to find somebody that's out there searching for a job. All the good employees, shocker, that are amazing, the kind of AAA rated employees, they're working for other people right now, and those companies are doing everything they possibly can to retain them. And that's why there's this whole industry out there of individuals that are recruiters. And all the recruiter's job really is to do, what their job is to do, is go and steal good employees from one company and move them to the next company, right? So arguably the downside of that search method, these businesses that are out there listed, it doesn't mean they're good companies. It just means that the sellers wanted to sell. That's it, right? So that's an asterisk that you need to know about when you're doing this hunting, is that a lot of stuff out there, it just might be junk. And the best stuff, it might not even be on the market. So that's where this side 2, option 2, is really a good way to go about it. You're door knocking, you're targeting great companies, and you're asking them, hey, is this the time that you want to sell? And by the way, out of 100% of companies, about 3% at any given time are wanting to sell. So that's a lot of outreach. It's a lot of door knock. It's a lot of rejections and a lot of no's. But it is a good way to get great quality companies when you do get connected with that owner that is at the right time thinking about selling. The other thing that's great about it is that you are now the only person in the fight, essentially. You're the only one in the game with that owner. Whereas if you're going out into the search method where you're just kind of looking at stuff that's already listed, there's a whole bunch of other people that are probably seeing that listing at the exact same time and are maybe already communicating with the owner. So now you're in more of a competitive bid process. So if you run the unsolicited offer method, you're going to be the only dog in the fight, essentially. So it's going to make your offer naturally look more attractive because there's nothing to compare it to. So that's the other thing that's good. The downside is that there's no urgency on the side of the seller. they weren't thinking yesterday about selling their company. They were thinking about continuing operating it. And you came along, you're like, oh, I'm thinking about buying your company. I'll make you an offer on this business. You're having to now create that urgency to sell. You're trying to create that excitement for them to sell out of nothing, right? And one of the number one reason why companies don't sell is sellers don't know what they're doing next. That's the number one reason, right? So you have to figure out a way when you're doing that, the hunting method, to figure out a way to get that seller excited about whatever is going to be next in their life. So either way, those are the traditional two methods that are out there for finding businesses and that you can potentially purchase. Now, enter Village Wellth. And this is they're changing the game here, and they're completely changing how things are going to be done moving forward into the future. And currently, right now, they're actively changing our marketplace and shuffling things up and doing a bit of disruption, which everybody always loves. So what's our fundamental issue to begin with, right? It's like, okay, we've got people that want to buy, and we have people that maybe want to sell, but let's target a couple problems that I talked about right now about both methods, right? Our first method, the problem is that there's going to be a bunch of other people that are out there that are hunting or searching, that is, and maybe looking at the same business at the same time, right? So you want to get your foot in the front door, kind of like block that door before anybody else gets in. The best way to do that right now is with Village Wellth, because what they do is they set you up with a buyer profile. You get all the information, you get pre-screened that you have the capacity to purchase the business, and you get to select, as you build your profile, every kind of business, industry, size, like the price that you're willing to pay. All that data goes in, so that when people like myself are about to list a new business, we go to Village Wellth first. And this is actually completely true. I'm unbiased. I'm not even getting paid to do this, but we go to Village Wellth first, and we put the business listing there because it automatically populates people like yourself that are looking for X type of business. So I'm going there, I'm putting in a bakery, or I'm going in there and I'm putting in a manufacturing company, or I'm going in there and I'm putting a company that we're listing in Calgary, or we're listing something in Vancouver. Then in your profile, it's going to flag you, it's going to flag me and say, this buyer is a potential match. So right out of the gates, you're going to get that ahead of the pack, right? So that's one of the things that's beautiful about Village Wellth. The second thing that's beautiful is you're already pre-screened from a buyer perspective. And for us, from the sell side, it's so important, literally, no word of a lie. I had about filming this video last night, I had a deal that died because the seller or the buyer did not get financing. And we've been working on that deal for 3 months in diligence, and it died because the buyer didn't have financing. Shame on me, right? Because if we were working with a buyer that was already pre-screened, then with their financial ability to purchase this company, then we wouldn't have even engaged with them. So for us, as working on the sell side and bringing owners to the table that are wanting to sell their company, very valuable to us to have somebody that's already pre-screened from a financing perspective with the ability to purchase. We're going to be more excited. We're more likely to introduce our clients to you because we want the deals to complete, right? So that's the kind of the second thing that's awesome about Village Wellth. The third thing from a search perspective, and what I talked about earlier, is there's about 50 different sites, 40, 50 that you can list on to sell a business. And that doesn't even include the Craigslists and the Kijijis of the world, right? These are business specific listing sites. That's a lot of work for you as a buyer, and it's a lot of work for us as a seller to go and post the business on all these sites. And because it's a lot of work, likely it's not going to happen. And you're going to kind of aggregate and take the sites that are getting the most traffic and use those. But from a buyer perspective, it's digging when you're using the search method it's time consuming. Well, Village Wellth solved this problem as well, is that you can just go to their site. They in the back end have aggregated everything that's listed, kind of like the Trivago or the hotels.com. You just type in what you're looking for, and here's all the options that come up, just scouring the entire web and aggregating the information. That can be done in one search, right? So that is a complete game changer in the industry, and for me, it's absolutely huge. And for you, if you're searching for a business, it's a monster of a feature. So that's the third thing. Lastly, when you're doing the hunting method, where you're actually kind of targeting and going down and knocking on the door, Village Wellth is already doing a fair chunk of that for you, especially for the new stuff that's coming into the marketplace, because you've already put in your profile exactly what you want. And now when someone comes to your door, or when someone comes to list the site, it automatically populates and alerts you first. So the site is doing the hunting, at least on the stuff that's coming new to the market. If you're going out there and looking to do a complete search, a fresh search, and really pull out that stuff that's not even listed, Village Wellth can connect you with the people that do that in the industry, and they can be working in the background on your behalf. So that's it. That's episode number 2 on how to find the business that you're looking to buy. The big takeaways are that you have your 2 methods. You have your search method, you have your hunt method, and then Village Wellth is going to accelerate all of that for you. All right, see you in the next episode, episode 3 of How to Buy a Business Masterclass.